Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about something I think I may have discovered that's working out well for me, and we talked about this about a week or two ago. It's about free returns. I think it was about 2 weeks ago when I put the video out, I think the 15th of July. I'll put the link up here somewhere if you want to check that out and what kind of got me to thinking this way. But I recently made a change to not all, but most of my smaller items. When I say smaller items, I'm saying anything under like 5 pounds or less. And I think I've also done this for some items that are under 10 pounds, depending on the size of the box. Because with shipping, it's not so much as the weight of the package, it's also the dimensions that are figured into what you're paying for this thing. Now, free returns has been something I've kind of struggled with, and for the most part, I have not entertained the idea of using free returns because of just the costs, the size of the items. You guys see behind me, I've got big boxes. These are all boxes that are listed. I'm not interested in entertaining a remorse return on a 20 to 30 pound, $20 to $30 shipping label, which may be 20 to 30 or more pounds, because someone's changed their mind. That's kind of held me back. This is why I have not used free returns on the larger items. I do calculated shipping. It's not built into the cost of my item. And if someone does a remorse return, generally they're going to be on the hook for the return label, and they're going to be receiving only the price of the item, not the cost of the shipping that was paid, the calculated shipping label that they paid to have the item shipped. So that's kind of what's held me back, is just, I don't want this, can add up. I get a lot of returns as it is. I deal with liquidation, and between the remorse returns and the INADs, whether they're legit or not, it's just a costly way of doing business. Pardon me, this bracelet that Jenna got me for Father's Day, it is absolutely like it hangs up on my arm. So I feel like I'm doing the wave like at the parade, but it's just me trying to fix the bracelet. Real quick, before I get too far into the weeds on free returns, which is why you're here, but I want you to know why I look like absolute hell. Maybe I look like hell because I woke up this morning and my left eye was beet red, worse than it is now. You can see the left eye is worse than the right, and felt like I had sand in my eye. And when I got up and went and checked, it's like, wow, that eye is super red. I was putting drops in my eye to kind of calm it down, but it's not really helped all that much. But because of that, I will be going to my eye doctor on Friday, and this eye doctor is not local to me. He's in California, which is fine. Gives me an excuse to go out to California and visit everyone. And this eye doctor is the only one that's really even touched my eyes in the last 20 something years. So for me, something like this going on, I really don't want to entrust my eyes in anyone else's hands. So that's kind of what we're going to do. What I'm going to do, Jenna's going to hang back here, run the business, which means we're not going to have a Friday live in the same sense. So we're going to run some programming. We're going to run a featured program that's going to run, and that's going to allow you to kind of come in at a normal time, hang out, talk to the community, chat. It's going to be at least an hour long. I'll try to make it at least an hour long, where I'm going to be out here working, talking about some pretty good stuff, talking about how the experts, and I know that you guys tune into YouTube channels to see what your experts say, but let me just tell you the truth that no one wants to tell you. There are no experts on YouTube. I'm not an expert. I don't care. Even Pete, he's the GOAT, but he ain't no expert, okay? Sorry, Pete, I love you, man, but I'm just being honest about everything. We have a lot of experience, but the true experts are the ones that work behind the scenes at eBay, okay? And to be able to pick their brain on key questions is something I always look forward to when given the chance. Well, I kind of indirectly had the chance to ask some key questions, And I think the answers are going to be very, very interesting to hear. So very excited to do that video, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about on Friday. And hopefully you can come and join us on the feature, which means you can, it's just like a live stream, but you're not interacting with me, you're just interacting with the rest of the folks in chat. And usually we have over 100 people who watch the live chat. So come on, join the community and be a part of it all. Now, what am I doing out here? This is part of a new format that we put together a couple weeks ago, where I'm out here working, doing what you guys do. I'm not some guy that's just a talking head telling you do as I say, but I won't show you what I do. I'm out here working. Now, I'm working on, like I have, like this Denon turntable, okay? And I parted it out. So it's now time at some point to get these things photographed. I don't even know what half of these things are. I don't even know what I have, guys. I mean, it's been a few weeks since I pulled this thing apart, and we're talking like a box of just random components, if you guys can see that from the inside of the turntable. So I am reliant, I'm going to be 100% reliant. AI is not going to help me with this. I don't care what software you guys use. Right now, in AI's infancy, it ain't going to help identify what this part is. Now, I can see on the back, this is the power PWB. Okay, so that to me is like the power board of that unit. By the way, the unit turned on, but it had broken parts on it, which is why I couldn't sell it. So I just parted it out. All the way to the cord, you know, to other parts of the unit. So got to get this stuff researched. It's probably why I haven't listed it yet, but I need to work on that at some point. Right now I'm working on just making content for you guys, and I'm not going to go too far down the weeds to that. But going back to free returns, guys, I ran a little report, and I'll show you right here. The report shows that over the last 2 weeks, my sales have gone up over 20%. Now you could say, wow, that's a hell of a coincidence. It's a small sample size. But if I am linking it to the information that I shared with you guys, it makes total sense as to what's happening here. I firmly believe that part of it is, of course, the forced returns that eBay has made us do. eBay has kind of forced us to add free returns if you're a seller of car parts and accessories like I am. And so I kind of let that translate over to a lot of the other similar non-auto parts or non-eBay motor items to see what would happen. And I'm seeing a huge boost. Friday we had $1,300 in sales, guys. $1,300 is probably the biggest sales day of the year on this account. So I'm going to keep pushing what we're doing. What we're doing is working. I'm going to keep pushing that store as my main priority. So I'm out here messing with the second store because I just got to get this mess out of the way. And a lot of it is just me getting out here, taking the photos while I'm talking to you guys, getting the work done, and clean up my area here all in one swoop. So thank you guys for being here with me. I don't know what your take is, guys, on free returns. I think just to give you my thoughts, which may not be worth a whole lot, because like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just one guy dealing with limited categories. And again, experts, the real experts are the ones that get and I say customer, seller questions all the time, whose main job is to deal with the sellers and seller questions. Now, they're not going to spill the beans on the algorithm if that's what you're hoping for, but they do approach businesses and say, hey, would you like a sales rep? And sales reps are very much like the department that I used to work at Amtrak. I use them as a point of reference because there's a lot of similarities. where they are given the recipe sort of to the algorithm, right? And there may not be a whole lot there to the question you're asking. It might be just plain and simple. It's no secret. But they are there to sort of direct certain sellers that they come in contact with and help them improve upon their daily business and helping them with best practices. And you better believe that through their own experience, even if eBay doesn't come out and tell them explicitly, hey, here's what the algorithm contains and here's what we're pushing, trial and error, guys. If you think you go through a lot of problems and issues, these sales reps they handle these things every day. That's their job. Okay, their job isn't to handle everyday fun stuff. It's the why aren't my things selling? What can I do differently? Here's what I'm doing now. Here's what I'm selling. They know most of the answers to the question because they are working with it every day. Whereas we only encounter problems as we encounter problems. That's why someone like Pete, he's encountered a lot of problems, but not to the level of an experienced rep at eBay who's working with accounts. Specifically that agent. I'm not talking about the agent who's answering the phones. Those people, hey, it's not their fault, but they're not given that information. It's like a need to know kind of thing. Frontline reps only need to know the basics, and they're not given the keys to the kingdom per se. They're just given what they need to know, and that is it. So be on the lookout for that video if you don't watch the live on Friday, but it's something I'm excited to put together, and I'm hopeful that the person I'm talking to is not a viewer of the channel, so I'm just going to put that out there. But they have someone I met that is an eBay seller like you and I, who have a lot of questions, and were given the opportunity to sign up for the eBay, this eBay program, I guess, where they assign you a sales rep. And they said, hey, if you got any questions, let me know. I'll ask the questions. And so that's kind of what's happening. I'm kind of asking the tough questions just so I can see if what kind of answers they get. And I think that maybe we're going to be able to, I hope that we're going to be able to get some insight on some things that maybe we thought was true, but there's no way to confirm, and that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. Free returns, let's get back to that. eBay wants you to do it. They want you to do it. Why does eBay want you to do it? Well, eBay wants you to do it because they realize that you would be providing the buyer with an excellent experience, a very good buyer experience, if they had to not hassle with returns. Let's say they get an item in the mail, it just doesn't look right on their mantle, or maybe they just don't like the way it works. Well, I mean, you can't see that from a picture. I mean, if you're trying to figure out if something's going to really look right on your mantle, I mean, there's no augmented reality features on eBay where you can take an item and, use AI and put it on your mantle or your windowsill or your countertop next to everything else you have and say, yeah, that's going to look okay, or no, I don't like the way that doesn't really, it's not the same style. I'm not going to be happy with that. No, it's one of those things, what's been happening for years, the buyer gets it and they're like, no, I just didn't like it. That's why you see why people say, they'll say just didn't like it on returns. So returns are going to happen just due to the nature of an online sale. There's no way to get your hands on it, right? To see what the material looks like. If you have an outfit, I like the way it looks, but I don't like the way the material feels. How do you feel something on the internet? You can't. Okay, there is no 4D yet. I mean, maybe there will be at some point in life. Maybe that's the next thing after AI. The next big thing is, having a 4D experience while you're on the internet. That sounds kind of weird to me. Something I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but you know what I mean. right? So instead of having an idea, wow, this outfit looks really, really nice, and you get it and you feel like you're wearing wool, and you're like, this ain't gonna work. This stuff itches my skin, and how is a listing gonna ever show you that? Okay, so you don't like the item. And then we get mad at the buyer because, oh, here comes this buyer returning our item, and you get kind of irritated by it. So my contention has always been buyers are going to either pony up for the return label, or some of the savvy buyers who knows how eBay works, and they're like, forget that. They didn't say that this thing was going to be itchy. It's not my fault it's itchy. They didn't mention that the material was going to be like that. I'm going to say it's not described. They didn't describe this material as being itchy on my skin. And eBay sides with them. There's no fighting it. You have to take and pay for the return label, which you were going to do anyway on a free return. But now you have to pay for or eat the original shipping that you used on the outbound shipment. Now, if you have it baked into your price, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, for those who do calculated or flat rate over and above the price of the item, free returns allows your buyer to be honest without trying to game the system to get that free return label, and they're not even thinking about the label that you paid for, right? They're kind of most of them are assuming they're getting that money back. At least in my mind, I think most of them are assuming that. So I wonder what you guys think. That's kind of what the video I made 2 weeks ago was about. But since then, I started making those changes. Of course, we had to make those changes with eBay Motors, and I'm getting a lot more items, a lot of air AC compressors and alternators, and just parts I've never even seen before and didn't even know were like a thing, because I'm not a really big guy with parts. This is why you can sell anything on eBay and make your listings look like you're an expert, due to the fact that we have AI now. But that said, I think that free returns is probably the best strategy. And if you're already top rated as a top rated seller, your listings will get earmarked as top rated seller plus. I don't care how the logo looks like crap. I don't know. They changed the way the logo looks. I've seen people get upset about that. Who cares? I don't care, as long as at the end of the day, I don't even care if they put a little banner saying that I'm top rated. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me. At the end of the day, you get a 10% discount on your final value fees for that listing, should it sell. And from what I understand, it's just the base final value fees. It's not your promoted listing fees on that item. So, we pay, you say you have an item that sells for $100. The base fees, depending on the category, can be anywhere from like $8 to $13. So you're saving like 80 cents to $1.30. But the thing is, that's with the 10% discount, but it all adds up over time. And then you try to then deduct your return label costs from that to offset it. And while I don't believe, it depends on how many returns you have, but if you have quite a few returns, it may not totally offset the return labels, but it'll put a dent into it, right? So that's certainly the feature, because we don't, like I said before on previous videos, we don't do this for fun. This is not a personal thing we're doing for most of us. Maybe it is, but most of us it's not. And we're running a business. And what do you do with business? Well, there's something called having a fiduciary responsibility. Here's John breaking out big words. You guys know I'm not that smart, but there's something about having a fiduciary responsibility to yourself when you're running your own business. Okay, it is entirely irresponsible to run a business without considering the costs involved. Okay, so yeah, if you're considering like, wow, I don't want to do this because it's just going to be too costly, well, you're on the right track. But I think you got to do the hard work, and that is getting there and looking at the numbers. Now, side note, that's why we work with a company called My Reseller Genie that allows you to be in tune with your numbers. You can go in and see, how much am I paying for returns? How much are my fees on these items? And you don't have to run a spreadsheet. You guys have been following me for a long time, know that for years I've been fighting back and forth with myself on, do I even want to mess with this spreadsheet? It's a lot of work. And the twisted side of me actually likes sitting in front of a computer and plugging in numbers. Am I the only one that feels that way? Where, you say, hey, get in front of the computer and start plugging in numbers. I'm good with that. But after about 2 or 3 hours of that straight, and it strains my eyes, and here I am with bad eyes as it is, I don't need that. I'm a little too old for that game. So thank you for a program like My Reseller Genie. Use the code, I think it's 14% off that you get on your first month. Just go check the link, make sure that that's the case still. But nonetheless, it's a good start. And you need to, if you're doing this to run it as a business, you got to be in tune with your numbers, guys. You got to be in tune with what's working and what's not. So for some of you guys, the idea of free returns, it ain't working. Look, these big boxes back here, no way. eBay can offer me a 20% discount, and I'm not footing a $40 or $50 bill on a return label if I don't have to. Now, of course, again, savvy buyers are going to find a way around it, but most buyers, thankfully, most buyers don't game the system. Most buyers don't even know the system. So I think a lot of times we think of buyers as having the same knowledge base as we do as sellers. Like, oh boy, here we go again. This person, they're just going to scam me, or this, that. You know what? I get messages like that all the time. Like, here's another buyer. I can tell by where they live that this is going to come back to me as a scam. Watch. Well, you just watch. Okay, well, I can't say never, but you rarely hear back about that person because usually they're not a scam. We don't know these people. We don't know their intentions. You might say, you know what? I don't want to deal with returns. I just don't want to deal with them. You have no returns set as your policy. And I got to tell you guys, two things. I'm surprised eBay even gives us the option for no returns, because it's a bad look on your product. It's a bad look on you, because an unknowing buyer doesn't know you from Adam is going to think of you as a scammer. You might be the nicest person in the world, but that's the impression you're giving a potential person who's very careful about getting scammed, or getting. There's already a number of people who don't want to buy on eBay because maybe they've had a bad experience with their card information, their bank, got hacked into, or whatever it is. And the last thing they want to do is put themselves in a position. They get extra careful because of these experiences, and they don't want to deal with someone who looks shady. And your return policy may be the only thing that's holding you back from getting sales. That's tip one, guys. Avoid no returns at all costs, because guess what? It may have worked for you so far with the few sales that you have, but I will challenge anyone out there who sells what I sell to outsell me. Maybe you have to have a larger store with what I sell with a no returns policy. Challenge you. And I'm not saying I'm the best reseller. What I'm saying is I have taken advantage of the best practices. And in 2025, no returns is the opposite of a best practice. Just putting it out there, plain as Jane can be. Okay, you take it for what you want. But because I'm not there's nothing special about me or what I sell. Okay, my success is a reflection of the fact that I'm not ignoring what eBay wants me to do, and I'm adapting to what eBay wants me to do. Now, I've been very change resistant when it comes to some of these best practices, like oops, hold on, I gotta find this. I guess I'll just put it in here. I've been very change resistant when it comes to, heck, even promoted listings. I didn't want to give them a lot of my money at first. I was very kind of like, I don't know about this. But as I found out about how promoted listings has worked for some people, and you see that and you're like, wow, okay, all I got to do is give another 3 to 10%. Now it seems like a lot, but if I'm making 25 to 30% more in sales, it's definitely worth it, guys. I've been very change resistant in my life because we want to just have the same setup going and going and going, and if it's working, we don't want any changes. But eBay doesn't care about us. It's changes that are being made for the masses, and that change may in their mind solve a problem for the majority, but it might screw you up in your mind. You're like, damn it, I got to make this change now. So you have to evaluate what change is right for you. Now, I don't care what you're selling. Of course, no returns should never be an option. That's just my opinion. And I'm not an expert. I just told you I'm not an expert. But in my opinion, I've evaluated hundreds of stores. Many of those stores we've evaluated together on the Members Only Lives that we do every other Wednesday. And the sellers that have no returns have fewer sales. So here I am for the longest time on these large items, which that's not going to change, for at least for now. At least for now. But the smaller items, which represents about 60 to 70% of my inventory, the items under 10 pounds, we're gonna go with with free returns, and that's just on the data alone we've had the last 2 weeks. The success, I can't even speak right now. The success that we've had in the last 2 weeks is a small sample size, but it's enough to tell me that whatever I did, keep doing it. You know, it's one of those things is when you make a change, yeah, you don't want to overreact with a small data sample, but if you see positive changes, if you see things that are happening differently, that it's a positive, why in the world would you ever revert back to before you made that change? Why would you do it? Now, look, let me break a secret to each and every one of you guys out there. There's a symptom of killing it on eBay. Not for everyone, but for many sellers like myself. There's a symptom that really doesn't sit well with a lot of sellers. But the symptom of success in many categories I've sold in is returns, guys. That's a symptom of success. And think about it. You sell one item every day, 7 items a week, and you have let's say you have a 5% return ratio. That means 1 out of every 20 sales, you're probably going to get a return. If that's your rate. Now, you're probably like at 1 to 2%. It's even more. We can base this example on that here in a second, but just say you have a 5% return rate. That means if you sell 1 every day, 7 every week, or 28 every month, you're going to average 1 return a month, or maybe sometimes 2, depending, because you're a little over that 20. Let's say your return percentage is 1 or 2%, and you sell at the same ratio, 1 item a day, 30 items a month. You're going to have what? Let's say 2%. 2%, that means you have to have 50 sales before you actually get a return on average. So you're going to go a couple, 2 to 3 months without a return request. But now flip it over to someone who has a higher volume. Let's say you're selling 10 a day, 10 items a day, and you're at a 5% rate. Well, 10 items a day, that's 300 items you're selling in a month. And if you're at 5%, you're at 6 returns in that month. And it could be if you're selling a lot more, you're getting a lot more returns, and you're like, damn, these returns. I don't want to deal with these returns. These people, all I get is returns. Some days you get more than 1 return in a day. They come in 3s. But guess what? You should be happy, because you can't get a return on something you haven't sold. Remember that. You cannot get a return on something that hasn't sold. Returns are disappointing. They suck. Why should we incentivize buyers by giving them free returns? Because they're going to return it anyway, and it's what eBay wants you to do. Now, there's a number of people out there like, I don't care what eBay wants me to do. I can't stand eBay. They're just money hungry and they don't care about me. And so is all the other businesses that we encounter every day. Does that mean you're not going to go buy gas from the local gas station? The moment someone sneezes about something happening with oil refineries or political events around the world, or this country's cutting back oil production, they pop up the gas prices faster than you can blink. But on the other hand, when they say, oh yeah, we've got extra oil, price of oil's gone way down, blah, 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 they take their damn time in lowering those oil prices, okay? And that's just business in 2025. It's been business in 2020. It's been business even before that. But because you interact with eBay all the time, these business practices, and I'm not giving eBay an excuse here, but this is just the reality of things. These business practices is reality, and it's just the nature of the beast. I don't care who they put in there. They could replace the entire board and put a new CEO in place. Guess what? Every single one of them, their jobs are on the line if they don't show a profit to their shareholders. So, yeah, you got this group in eBay right now, but the next group may do something different to get more fees. And then we're going to be like, okay, go back to the whole promoted listing scam to get more fees out of us, because whatever you're doing here is costing everyone too much money. And I can come up with ideas right now that that'll make these people right now who have pushed promoted listings to make them look like saints. There's ways that eBay can really do a lot of harm to sellers if they really wanted to get greedy-er, and they haven't done it yet. So let's be happy that hasn't happened. I'm not giving eBay a pass, but the whole idea, eBay wants you to give free returns because it does give the buyer a good experience. And it's all about perception. It's all about buyer perception. How can you make that buyer feel? We are not supposed to feel as sellers. Get your feelings out of the equation as sellers. Buyers are supposed to feel. And the art of selling has to do with manipulation. I used to tell my reps this when they're on the phone. I'd say the art of getting that person to make the reservation. So they're calling to say, I want to travel from LA to New York and I want to go round trip, so you get all the information, and now how do you get that person who's just getting information to locking in a reservation? And it's how you feel, and how you make the buyer feel about that information. If you're just giving vanilla information, that buyer is not going to feel much at all. They're just going to be like, thank you for the information. But if you really make them feel like they can't pass up this experience, make them excited about the idea of, the example, taking the trip and everything that entails with it. It's the same thing with selling. You make them excited, feel good about buying your item. Now, how can you say, John, you're not talking to these people? How the hell can you make someone feel anything about what you're selling? It's through the presentation. It's through your policies, okay? If you say to somebody, I'm selling this drill, but there's no returns, that doesn't make the buyer feel very confident at all about what you're trying to sell them. It might make them think, what the hell are you trying to put over on me here? It's going to detract from their experience, and they're going to go away and buy from someone else who makes them feel a little bit better about what they're buying. It's about the number of photos that you present, so they can say, that's exactly, I'm confident this is exactly the one that I've used before. So this is the drill, the Porter cable drill that I used before. I loved it. I loved the way it felt in my hand, and I'm confident this is the same one because of the angle they showed me. I remember that being there, and that's the one I want to buy. Every little thing that you do in your listing, even to the price, your price sensitive person, makes them feel good that they can buy this damn drill and not be able to put groceries on the table, okay? So it's all these things put together, not one by one, but maybe collectively, that get some people to feel good about buying from you. And that's why some people get more sales versus those who just whip together all their listings in an AI lister. And I'm not trying to dog AI listers. I think it's going to do a lot of good for some sellers, not all. and they just set it and forget it, and they wonder, well, why is my conversion ratio so low, and why are others selling and I'm not? Because there's a little bit more attention to detail on those listings and how that seller presents themselves to make the buyer, here we go again, feel good about buying your item. And so focus on the art of manipulation while being honest. That's a hell of a way to go. It doesn't sound, it's like an oxymoron. Manipulation doesn't sound like a very positive thing, but that's exactly what sales is. It's the art of manipulation, guys. And the faster you can find different features and eBay policies and all the different tools that eBay gives us, including free returns, well, the faster you master that, the faster you're going to see your items leave. And that's the whole goal about this. Want you guys to do me a favor. If you don't, that's fine. I love you guys anyway. But do me a favor. We have, like, I'd say 70% of the people watching this channel don't even bother to subscribe. And they may see the next video, they may not. And there might be some good information that you're missing. And maybe that's important to you, but maybe it's not. But if you enjoy the content that we provide, at the very minimum, hit that like button, but do consider subscribing, guys. I'd certainly appreciate that. I'd like to think that this channel should be a little bit better than it is. That's my fault, of course. It's no different than eBay. If I'm not getting the sales that I want, chances are it's me and I need to do something different. So that's what we're doing with this format, doing a little different format. Hopefully you enjoy it, and consider subscribing to the channel, because we're going to put out videos throughout the week and have honest conversations with you guys. And some of this information you're not going to want to hear, but I think, whether you agree with me or not, I think it needs to be said. So with that, I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you here very soon. Take care.
On Mondays and Fridays, join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy by your style. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game.